Massachusetts is doing their best to squash residents' Second Amendment rights, now going so far as to even prevent them from completing a petition to put the law to an actual vote. Stick around for the details. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Full disclosure, I just recorded my last post-Helene video right before this, and I got a lot more riled up than I expected, so I don't know how this video is going to go. Now, I know that I've been covering a lot of the storm stuff going on, and we'll probably still be covering it because it's an ongoing issue here, and some people are telling me that it is out of the news cycle. But today, we're taking a little break while I cover another tale of how Massachusetts is really doing everything they can to bend gun owners to its will. So this is connected to the video that I did on the cop that stood up against the state's newest gun control bill and got publicly educated for it by the state's Ethics Commission. I also mentioned in that video how some pro-gun groups were trying to collect signatures to pause the law until it could be on the 2026 ballot. And full disclosure, before I forget to mention it, I am a former Massachusetts resident, so I have dealt firsthand with the restrictions in the area and with the likes of Miss Maura Healey. Now, this effort has been led by the Civil Rights Coalition, spearheaded by the folks over at Cape Gunworks. This petition to get the law paused. Now, as a quick review, this is about the new Massachusetts gun control law that I covered earlier this year that is pretty much a near total semi-auto ban, expands red flag laws, adds special requirements for ammo purchases, and does a whole host of other very bad things. I will link my original video explaining that law up here, because it's a lot. Now, in the wake of this, the pro-gun groups in the area organized a petition campaign to get the law turned into a ballot measure. This is perfectly legal. This is the required legal process. They needed to gather at least 49,700 signatures to put the law on hold until it could get an actual vote from the people. If they were able to only get just 37,000, they could still get a vote without the temporary suspension. Now, before I tell you what Maura Healey went and did to prevent her citizens from voting, this video is brought to you with the help of Blackout Coffee Company. They are a family-owned coffee roaster out of sunny Florida, built on traditional values and a love of the Second Amendment. They have amazing coffee, tea, and hot chocolate, and have even partnered with organizations like FPC and GOA so that your purchases of their partner roasts donate to those groups directly. So, to check them out, help support your rights and the channel, go to blackoutcoffee.com/libertydoll. Mass Live called this whole situation a culture war battle, which, yes, expressing surprise that such a battle could unfold in deep blue Massachusetts, and I mean, honestly, I'm a little surprised too, and I'm from there. And even more surprised that so many people in Massachusetts stepped up and signed this petition against the law, because as per the Boston Globe, the petition didn't get 49,000 signatures. Oh no, my friends, it got over 65,000 and was still getting more when Maura Healey, now governor, panicked and decided to do an emergency enactment on the law, making it effective immediately before the signatures could even officially be counted and given to the state. The groups were given a very small window to collect the signatures, probably with the expectation that they'd fail. Their deadline was October 9th. Healey announced on October 1st that she'd be using her executive powers to enact the law on October 2nd. A full week before the petition deadline and 3 weeks before it was originally set to go into effect. Now, the law cannot be suspended without court interference, which of course gun groups are attempting. Gun groups in the state GOP, which by the way caved on parts of the bill and helped make it possible, are calling this an act of tyranny. Maybe y'all should have thought of that ahead of time, but okay. And they are correct in their label. I mean, Maura Healey is directly subverting democracy by telling people that they can file a petition and go through legal avenues, and then cutting off those legal avenues at the knees when it looks like they were going to be successful. Add in the actions her office took to make it more and more difficult for the groups to get the signatures, and I don't know how else you can look at it. Healey, who used to be the state's attorney general, her claim to fame was banning assault weapons, copycat assault weapons, I'm sorry, via an opinion piece in, it was either the Boston Herald or the Boston Globe. I don't remember which newspaper, but it was a newspaper opinion piece that she put out as her royal decree against copycat assault weapons. I believe that was July 2016. I don't know how the Attorney General was the one that was in charge of gun laws in Massachusetts. I get questions about that all the time, my friends. I can't tell you how or why. I can only tell you that that's how it was. And then they turned around and made her governor. I have my suspected reasons as to how and why that happened, but I won't get into that here. Anyways, so former state's attorney general, now governor, called it a simple matter of law enforcement, saying that it was important for the safety of the state to get the law on the books, the state that already had terribly strict gun control laws. Now, even Mass Live, despite saying the law was needed to fix issues with the state's already severe gun control, was able to acknowledge that huge swaths of Western Mass are rural and thus pretty pro-gun. So are parts of Plymouth County, though they didn't mention that. There were almost 570,000 active firearms licenses in the state when this bill was signed into law in July, which honestly is more than I even thought. And again, I lived there. Now, while only a fraction of the state's 7 million people, even Mass Live admitted that that was more people than the outlet had anticipated. Mass Live was also surprised to learn from the data that gun ownership has exploded in Boston's Black community, who have cited the need for easier access to firearms for self-defense, which again was shockingly acknowledged by the Democrat rep for Dorchester and Mattapan out of Suffolk 6. Also with Mass Live, this whole article had lots of little surprises. Now, thousands of gun owners are technically felons overnight with Healy's actions. So is any non-resident who brings in a gun to hunt in the state during the upcoming hunting season, or if they bring in a gun for a shooting competition, things that, surprisingly, do exist there. I didn't even think that we had 3 gun shoots, but a guy that I follow on Instagram and TikTok was at one recently, so I guess it happens. I don't even know what exactly they shoot there, because most guns are illegal and banned in the state, but you learn something new every day. Now, GOAL, aka the Gun Owners Action League, has already filed suit against the training requirements of the law because they're near impossible to fulfill in the state. One of the requirements is that you do live fire training at a public range, and last I checked, there were a solid 2 public ranges in the state. But thanks to Healy's actions, gun owners are now in a double bind. They can file lawsuits for an injunction, but any other lawsuits filed against the law will likely be used to slow down the process of the courts deciding whether or not to issue said injunction against the law, or parts of it. Quite frankly, I don't even think that they're gonna have luck on a ballot question. But at least it would have put the bill on pause while other lawsuits were filed and people could, I don't know, figure it out. But, as of a week ago, y'all are felons. Now, of course, Maura Healey always says, oh, well, you know, I'm not gonna arrest you guys, but how long is that going to last? You know, I will say, though, for the folks in Massachusetts who are organizing these petitions or have signed up on them, you know, good on you for fighting the good fight. Obviously, I gave up and left. But, you know, you are doing the Lord's work up there. So on that note, that is it for this video. You guys know the drill for all of the algorithm things, and as always, thanks for tuning in. Stay safe out there, and happy shooting.